Welcome, everyone. I'm Joseph.limo, your real estate broker, professor, and coach. And today I'm really excited to have join with me Mr. Duane Lee of Dry Zone Restoration. Duane, thank you for taking the time to jump on. I want everyone to know right from the jump, Duane is a very trusted partner of mine. There's a lot of people out there in the world who do restoration, but Duane is the one person that I'm excited and really comfortable referring to my family, my friends, anyone that I personally know. So, Duane, again, excited to have you on and welcome, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And again, thank you for all the confidence and all the kind words. And again, it's very appreciated when somebody says they trust you. That's a huge thing. And again, you said it, there's plenty of options out there. And we are more than ecstatic to be your go-to.
And Duane, I know for me it's really simple. Like it's the alignment of values. When I know someone truly cares about who they're working with, that for me is like the gold standard that we start to build from. But I do want people to get to know you. My intention today is obviously for people to get a little bit more familiar with Duane, dry zone restoration, so that they can start to build a comfort level. If they need you, they know they can reach out to you and have a really great experience. So let's start with this, Duane. I mean, you're a local boy. You grew up right here in the Inland Empire, Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Los Angeles, and I've done my stint in a few areas in the Inland Empire. I mean, up in Hesperia, California, down to Rancho Cucamonga, and at one point even all the way down to Temecula
Wow.
for some time. Yeah, yeah, back when it was first starting to start booming. So yeah, no, I'm a SoCal guy here.
And those are
So
all the
yeah.
areas that you still service, correct? Like you're still active and willing to go in all of those different directions to make sure you're taking care of folks.
Absolutely. Especially again, being a trusted partner with yourself and others in within a lot of the networking group that we belong to is I'm able to do things that a lot of times with other national franchises and things like that you can't. So
Hmm.
Southern California, I've been known to travel all the way to Northern California because somebody asked for a personal favor. And again, it made sense. And so we did it. So then, so yeah, we will travel. We are licensed to do business anywhere in the state of California. So especially when it's, again, a trusted, source, a referral source, we will definitely go that extra mile for people to make sure we take care of their needs.
And Dwayne, I like to kind of cut right to the chase, and I'd love for everyone who I know, my personal network, any audience that's watching, again, like as you mentioned, there's a lot of different options out there for restoration. I want people to know you, and I want people to know why I trust you. What would you say are maybe like the top
Awesome.
three reasons that you are set apart in your field? What makes you such an exceptional person to work with when it comes to restoration?
Well, when it comes to me and when it comes to the business, as far as the industry goes, um, knowing that not one thing is all the same, if that makes any sense. But for one, I look at it from the point of view of what's the best for the customer and my referral source.
Hmm.
So, what's best for the person who's trusting me with their client? And second, what's best for that client. So, of course, with that mentality comes the ruffling of some feathers, uh, aka insurance carriers, insurance adjusters, things of that nature.
Hmm.
Now, however, I'm not looking to do them wrong, but at the same time, I'm also keeping it where the really the loyalty needs to be.
Yep. And
Um,
that's that
so
that advocacy for your clients.
absolutely, because again, um, it's a double-edged sword. I know the good side of this industry, and I definitely know the bad side of it.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I've seen it all. So like I said, it's just one of those things where you just got to do what's right where it needs to be done right. So with that comes just not doing anybody dirty. I mean, for one, um, it's one of those things where I've taken little pieces from everyone, and a lot of the people that I respect and admire in the industry, where it's like, as a especially because I tend to consider myself more of a mitigation specialist, which is
Hmm.
stop the problem. So that's number one, and then remediate. So restoration is just such a very weird word in general. Um, but it's just one of those things that's one of the few words that is just nationally known. It's a global thing. People understand that word more than anything. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is if you, as a restorer or a mitigation specialist, restoration contractor, if you're in your own head, you're like, you know what, my invoice estimate, whatever you want to call it for that job, is too high, then it probably is too high.
Hmm.
Because if you're in your own head, I'm like, I didn't really earn all that. Then something's not right. So with that in mind, is trying to get give you a kind of like a scenario where why you do the things you do and to earn people's trusts,
Hmm.
which is one, you're just doing the right thing. I guess I could have just cut it short by just saying that, just doing the right thing,
Well, what
by
I
everyone.
appreciate about your answer, though, is you're doing the right thing almost in a hierarchy, right? Where it's like there's doing the right thing for multiple parties because you're almost quarterbacking a problem, right? And just so everyone's clear, restoration is really necessary when there's a significant problem that happens. It could be fire, smoke in a house. It could be a big water pipe burst and there's a significant amount of moisture and water. That's where you need Duane. You need Duane to go out there and not only immediately resolve the problem because that problem going unresolved is going to continue to create damage, but then you need him to really understand and really mastermind around how we're going to restore the property back to the way it was before that big significant issue happened. And so that's why you need someone who's really clear about how all these things work and making sure that they're doing the right thing. Because as you mentioned, there's a lot of parties involved. But my appreciation around your answer is that it's not just doing the right thing for everyone. You have a hierarchy of who to do the right thing for. And king of the hill, top of mind, is always your client or your customer, that homeowner. That's the person that you look after first and foremost and protect. That's what I
So,
appreciate about you so much, Dwayne.
and I appreciate that too. Yes, and it just comes back to the way you obviously explain it a lot smoother than I do. But it comes down to that. As at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you just kind of sometimes want to tell people, and we do a good job of, especially myself, reminding people. It's like, look, Mr. Klein is the one who signed the contract, so he knows at the end of the day he's on the hook. So of course my allegiance to is to them first. And exactly how you mentioned the whole hierarchy and how it goes down in different levels. Um, but yeah, that's the number one, definitely.
And Dwayne, I mentioned a few of like the specific issues that you come and resolve. What would you say are like the top five things that are happening that you see out there here in Southern California that require you to go out there and help people? In other words, if someone runs into these types of problems, what are the reasons why they should give you a call as far as those issues?
Well, as far as what we see a lot and what we mostly do and handle is we get a lot of your cookie cutter situations where customer comes home and there's water everywhere
Mm-hmm.
from wherever it may be. Supply line, yeah, a washing machine just went
Mm.
whatever and hose busted. Um, and in a lot of cases, things that people normally would not take into consideration, slab leaks, things of that nature. But overall, it's like anything else. It's the things that we get a lot of calls for, and what we see is usually, unfortunately, it's just a lack of maintenance, um, and a lack of what they would call pride of ownership that
Mm.
turns into these situations. Um, and those are the things that we see more than not, because we do get again, we do get referrals from all different areas, and different companies, different, referral sources. But as far as the types of claims that we see and jobs, they're typically in that. I mean, like I said, we were fortunate enough to do a lot of smoke, because today it is the 1 year anniversary of the fires at Altadena.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, going back to, yes, we didn't do a lot of fire ones because it was, you know, like I tell people, we get those calls, but
Hmm.
unfortunately, um, I prefer to partner up usually with a GC who can handle and has the manpower for that. And so we were fortunate enough to get a lot of smoke claims where there was a lot of, a lot of work to be done there. During that time, we were getting a lot of smoke uh, calls for contents.
Hmm.
And you sometimes, even though you go out and you get your certifications, you get your licenses, and you get this, and that, it's like, okay, you could go a lifetime without ever using one of those, and then all of a sudden you're using tons of them. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot more of those, type of contents calls, and partnering up with, good GCs to somehow let them handle, that part of it, and stay within our scope as far as what we're comfortable doing at this time. But so those are the types. We get water, we do get fire, smoke, um, mold, because again, we're heavily marketing towards that side.
Mm.
Um, because mold is everywhere,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, it's just most people don't really do anything about it until it's spread so far that it's become a huge issue, and
Mm.
you go from there.
That's a scary word for a lot of people. I mean, if someone were to experience, finding some potential mold in their home, or they come home to that water being all over the floor, and they call you, what is it going to look like for them? What does that experience kind of entail when someone reaches out to you and they have one of these problems happening literally right now? What does that look like?
What it looks like to them is the end of the world, to them.
Sure.
To us, it's like, well, what are we gonna do, and how are we gonna do it to take that huge problem and uh, damn, I'm trying to find a good way to put this, because you hear everybody say, oh, we're there to help, we're there to fix the problem. It's what can we do to take some of that burden
Mm.
off? And what I mean by that is we have licensed, trusted plumbers that we could call to say, look, you meet us there, um, stop the problem
Hmm.
so that we can, contain and mitigate the problem, which
Yep.
means stop it from getting further.
Right.
So in that is being able to help, hopefully have the customer feel a little less burden that they normally would, and in many cases should experience at least once so they can see how bad it really is to deal with it. But by giving them peace of mind is what I was trying to get at.
Hmm.
Is we all hear the slogans, restoring your peace of mind, like it never happened. Oh, it happened, but now we're there to stop it from getting worse. So if that means, like I said, getting our plumber to accompany us, and even as far as like, look, it's an issue where you may not be able to stay home tonight. And normally what that is figure it out on your by yourself. It's not,
Mm.
it's not really a contractor's issue to worry about. But because I've been fortunate enough to come from backgrounds where I've learned from different people, where we've gone as far as putting people up for at least a night and then figuring out, the rest later. But it's to give them some peace of mind. Again, going back to giving them peace of mind, because when you're talking about a fire issue, or a fire claim, or an emergency, because we normally don't ever come to people's lives in their best moments.
Right. It's a good
Usually
point.
when you meet me, yeah, usually once you meet me out in the field, it's because you're at your worst moment.
Mm.
Something bad happened. So by being able to help them uh, get a hold of the Red Cross in a fire situation, and doing whatever you need to do to help out in that moment. But there's so much more that goes into it when you're talking about every single possibility when it comes to fire, whether it's a water, so it each has its bigger picture of what it looks like to the client. But again, going back to the cookie cutter, I guess you could say, is just again giving somebody peace of mind that we're going to go in there and we're going to mitigate the problem from getting worse.
And Duane, I'm curious because you've said that you've seen both sides of the industry, right? And you've kind of built your business
Oh yeah.
to really offset what can be very problematic when people are working with maybe a restoration company that's not looking after their client or not doing the best or what's right by their, consumer. What does it look like for a customer or a client of yours when they are working with one of the wrong folks? Like, how is that experience different? This way, people know what to look out for or just have an awareness to, because I'm sure it's easier to hide when you know what you're doing, even if you're not doing it right. But maybe you could shed some light so people know what to, have an awareness to.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we can go into depth. We could go down a rabbit hole um, that we may not get out of for a minute. But unfortunately, there's things that are, I guess I'll go out and say it. There's predatory
Hmm.
situations where the one person that people think, well, I'm supposed to trust this person because this is the person who's going to take care of me, aka Mr. Adjuster from whomever this adjuster happens to be representing as far as carrier goes,
Yep.
where their number one thing is like, well, we're going to bring in, we want to bring in our own vendors. Uh, Not that they're all like this, but again, I mean, I don't mind stepping on toes, but the problem is a lot of times I'm bringing in our own preferred vendor means no, I'm bringing in the guy who's going to cut me who's going to give me something out of this.
Yeah.
And so of course they'll give everybody the oh well, you got to be careful with these rogue independent guys who just want to lean your property, yada yada. Well, I don't want to lean anybody's property because that just means I don't get paid, and things of that nature. So you got to be careful with one. Here's a big one. Any guy who's ever worked as a technician thinks he's a restorer or a mitigation contractor. So you got to be careful with the guys who pay for these services called like text me fires or things like that, where yes, they'll pay for the service and all of a sudden they'll get notifications because someone, believe it or not, people will call 911 when there's a busted pipe. It just
Mm.
happens.
Hmm.
I get
How
it.
interesting.
I mean, because it's a, no, I mean, at first I used to be like, why? I mean, in what world? But then you're like, well, because if I wasn't in this industry, then I don't know that I would call a plumber right away either, because it's like it's an emergency and it's everywhere.
Right.
So, um, dealing with contractor that shows up and is just ready to destroy your house and start drawing and start doing this and that, it's like okay, but there's learn the steps that that you need to see, and the things that when it comes to, again, be careful with who you're signing a contract with.
Hmm.
Okay. I understand that it's a lot of weird lingo that people don't really get. It's tough because at the end of the day, anybody who happens to see this later on, and I'll have to reiterate this because I'll keep repeating myself until I can't. You sign that contract, it's your problem, not the insurance company. We
Yeah.
don't work for them. So be careful what you sign. Um, and at the same time, be careful who you trust because even sometimes, especially in this industry, the people that you're supposed to trust are the ones who are not the ones doing right by you. And that's the problem.
Yep. And that's
Um,
this is why for me it's important to have you on, Dwayne. I think so many people, you mentioned it, right? They're meeting you at maybe their worst. And I'm not saying their worst version of themselves, but in a worse in probably not a great moment in their life. And they're
yeah.
also very vulnerable for that same reason, right? And so in
Yeah.
that moment, if they don't know who to reach out to, they're reaching out to anyone that they can, and they are so more susceptible to deceit, so more susceptible to needing and wanting to trust someone because they're in a vulnerable state. And that's why I think it's so important to have you on for some of the folks that I know and care about, that they know who they can reach out to. So someone may not be thinking, watching this right now, like, I don't know this Duane guy and I probably don't ever need to. And then next week you might come home and a water pipe burst. And I want you to just remember, wait a minute, I saw a video with Joe and someone that he said he trusted, because in that moment, I don't want you to succumb to someone maybe being predatory, or maybe, making things a little more uncomfortable or unfinished for your situation. I want you to know, even if you forget everything else, either call Joe or call Duane. So that way you can at least be working with someone that you know you can trust. Because in those vulnerable states, that's where you fall victim potentially.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's something you see every day, and that's
Hmm.
the unfortunate part. Because like you see what you see out there, I see, even like I said, franchises who are the ones who are supposed to like be the national, be the vendor list, where it's like, there's a reason why they're still franchises because they are still run by independent people.
Hmm.
So not everybody follows the codes or the laws or whatever you want to call them that we're supposed to, and that's one of the downsides to it. And then again, like anything else, going back to something that directly affects the restoration contracting industry and whatever else you want to call it, but looking out for public adjusters, and that's a huge thing, especially when you're dealing with, again, predatory things where
Hmm.
there's so many problems out there, and you see it on the news, you hear about it, especially with these fires and some other things where unfortunately people sometimes don't know that how to look into this or why they should, because I see it every day. Trust me, and I've been a victim of it, where you deal with a public adjuster or someone who says, yeah, and you learn by getting burned. You do, like anybody else. And all of a sudden, you're dealing with public adjusters and people who are, I'm licensed, I'm there to take care of you, and I'm there to take care of everything. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh well, you know what? I was educated by someone else how to look you up and why I should look you up, and guess what? All of a sudden, you're trusting someone who's had their license revoked for however long, and so by learning the hard way, it's I know I hate to use this word, but it's almost it's soothing to be able to tell people, look, let my mess up, let me getting burned, show you that um be careful and what you should do.
Yeah.
Because again, as a restoration contractor, um, we, like I said, there's so many people out there that I trust and um, admire, that I have taken a lot of the stuff that we do based on these other particular people, and they're all people within our industry. When it comes to a lot of times too, even with tenants.
Hmm.
Tenants don't understand that, as a matter of fact, we have someone that we both know who had the unfortunate issue of one of their older children who has a place of their own.
Hmm.
Um, their landlord is like, well, whatever, they're having issues. So it's like, well, you know what? Part of what's going back to where we first started, I'm sorry, but you know what? And I'm very proud to say this. One of the things that does stand out is, well, look, I may not make any money this way, but by being able to take someone and say, look, tenant, I'm here to help for you. I'm here to advocate for you as an advocate for you. Here are my moisture readings. Here are my inspections. Here are the things that I see that we can put together on a legal, whatever you want to call it, but something to take to your landlord and say,
Something
look,
to
we
document.
brought,
Yeah.
yeah, we brought our own independent company in. Um, so those are things we see, it comes down to there's always good and bad in everything, whether it's property management is what I'm trying to get at here.
Hmm.
There's good property management that will handle things and call guys like us, um, and we can work with them to take care of issues. And sometimes we got to think outside the box and say, look, Mr. Tenant, yourself, you can call me. And again, we don't mind doing a quick inspection for someone if it means, helping them out so that they are treated correctly. And um, so that's another perk of doing business with us is that one, again, it's me, and I think I'm pretty awesome that way. Uh,
I
yeah,
put
being able
my
to,
seal of approval on that statement. Let's come back to this, Dwayne, because you're meeting
sure,
people at a rough place, right? And so
yes,
that you can have a thankless job in that way. They're already upset. They're probably frazzled. They're inconvenienced, and they're probably not as happy as they typically are. When you're dealing
no,
with a
no.
lot of that stress and angst and maybe frustration, my question is, what keeps you showing up? Like, what makes you love what you do when you're having to deal with people and maybe some of the worst aspects of, their experiences? Why does Dwayne show up excited and ready to get the job done?
Well, taking something that's just it's destroyed. Well, for lack of a better word, but something that's just in the crapper, bad, bad. So you're taking something that's physically messed up, and in a lot of cases, people that are emotionally messed up because of what's going on, and whether it's a couple weeks, couple months, excuse me, months or whatever it is down the road, to be able to say, you know, um, I helped. I took a mess. I mean, I took chicken crap and I made chicken soup,
Hmm.
and being able to and the best part is being able to um, have people still thank you down the road by saying, I'm sorry, by calling you 2 years later, where you're like, I remember you. I remember every job. Oh, well, my sister just, she's got a problem. My son's got a problem, or whatever the case is. And all of a sudden now it's like, because of this particular person, and I think the job that we did, um, is all of a sudden now referring me people.
Mm.
So that's what keeps me going, is that, for one, we obviously are doing something right. Because if we sucked, I doubt people would be calling me.
Right.
And two, um, again, it'd be a lie if I didn't say that this industry is extremely profitable if it's done correctly.
Hmm.
So that's one of the things that keeps Dwayne going is, it's a very profitable industry if it's done correctly. Because again, if it's not done correctly, that means that, you'll not be around for very long. And again, being able to help people out on their worst moments is it's a huge thing. It's one of those, um, yeah, I like people saying good stuff about me.
Yeah. I mean, Dwayne,
Um,
you run a small independent business, right? Small on the scale
yeah.
of like we're not global empires here, and you've
Sure.
raised your family and you have a beautiful family. If you don't mind it, share with everyone a little bit about your family because you've literally raised your family by running this company in your industry.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my wife is probably obviously my biggest advocate. I mean, it's um she allows me to make mistakes, um and she allows me to be crazy. When it comes to my company,
Yeah.
she allows me to be crazy and do things that normally people would say like that makes no sense what you're doing. Whether it's wow, sometimes giving people chances to come and earn some money that normally, because now I've got to train them, now I've got to do different things that then it takes me away from doing my job,
Hmm.
which is not being the technician. I need to be focused on where am I going to get the next one from so that these guys can stay busy.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to my family, it is a very, it's a family. I consider it a family business because even the guys that are with me that are not blood related are my family.
Hmm.
Most of them have been with me for over 10 years. Um, these guys are awesome. And I definitely would not be here if it wasn't for my family and these technicians that, again, that are not blood related, but they are my family. So, you know, having my family, my brother-in-law and my cousin, and um, there's been a few times where my dad, who is a truck driver, um, has, been gracious enough to come and, help some of the new guys, uh, teach them a few things that I just didn't have the time to take care of. Um, you know, whether he was financially compensated well or not, probably not, but because again, it's a family thing, and so I wouldn't be anywhere without them. So again, and then again, going back to my wife, it's just uh, she was there since day one, and being able to, she's the one who was able to help me do the things that I didn't understand at the time, whether it was getting our contracts California legal
Hmm.
ready, all the little things that you're like, oh, I can fit all this into one page. No, sir, you can't, because California is minimum nine uh, font, right?
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, if I do five font, I can just fit everything in one page. Where it's like, no, it's, you can't, and all the little legal things that you you So again, like my family's been there, especially my wife. She's my biggest supporter and my biggest critic. Um, and yeah,
It sounds like she's really helped you to like develop a business out of it instead of just, running, instead of just operating in your business, showing you how to operate an actual business, which is solid. And I'm curious about this, Dwayne, because, usually when we talk about like a family, be it our blood related family or like a different group of people that we connect with so tightly that we consider them part of our family. I have many people listening to this that I consider part of my family, that our last names are different. We don't share the same blood, but I'll tell you what, we are family and no one will ever argue with that. And I know for me, it usually comes down to like a couple of like core values that we share so strongly that it aligns us like we're a family. If you think about your actual family and the technicians that you've had for 10 years, which is wild, right? Especially in your industry. What would you
yes.
say are some of those core values that you guys all share and operate from?
Um, my first one is something that I deal with every day, and I expect everybody around me. And so far, you know, those around me who are still around me, it's because it's the first and foremost is accountability.
Mhm. I love it.
Is Yeah, accountability number one, good or bad or indifferent. Um, Accountability. Yes, I messed up. What do I need to do to fix it? Um, you, Mr. Lee, right now you're the one being the problem. I'm also a technician. So, I'm not saying that, unfortunately, I think I'm right all the time, but the accountability is being able to say, okay, look, I just got corrected by one of my guys. And it's like, you know what, you're right. Because there's times where I don't know the whole story and I will say something dumb and it's not the right thing. And
Hmm.
so, being able to be accountable for me screwing up and saying, okay, now what do I do to fix this? And accountability around me, where again, it's, again, the accountability and doing the right thing, to me, it kind of goes hand in hand. But being accountable for actions on the job, off the job, but also lack thereof action,
Hmm.
lack of action. And then the other core value, honestly, is I don't even know if you can consider it a core value, but it's just, everybody uses this a lot, but sometimes you'll notice a few people practice it. But one of the things is just treating everybody, just be respectful.
Hmm.
Respect, and I hate to say it this, but it's like, because everybody says treat everybody like, even the janitor, like he's the CEO or, whatever the case is. But uh, it's true. I mean, because nobody's above anyone when it comes to, especially in my business, I'm sorry, in my company. I take advice from my kid, and especially my oldest. She's very smart. She's just super awesome, and um, you can't go wrong there. And then, I've learned to humble myself. I'm sorry, that's what I was going to go at too. When it comes to the accountability part,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
being humble. And so when it comes to core values and just again, just going back to even in the networking group that we share, it's just accountability is my number one thing. And just again treat it, just being respectful. I mean, it's you'd be surprised, especially, and again, going back to being in this industry and being in people's lives at their worst moment, how far a smile, especially from someone like myself who's spent my whole life really not smiling. It's just never really my thing. But then I started noticing, this smiling at people thing, there's something there.
I have a hard
So
time thinking of Duane not smiling, man. You've always just come off like genuinely happy. You're always you seem very present most of the time that I'm around you. And that presence allows you to just kind of be happy for exactly what's happening in that moment, who's around you, what's going on. So you look like I'm not to say that you weren't happy back then, but to see you not smiling seems weird, man. Like, look at that beautiful smile, man. That's always on your face.
yeah, yeah, and you know what? I have no reason not to.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Hmm.
Is when you're doing something good, and you're taking on the I'm here to help, and really, you know, really living by that. It's a huge difference where now it's like I said, and it's taken over my life quite, you know, it's kind of consumed it where it's not I don't think of anybody as my competition anymore. It's been for some time now. I don't look at anybody as my competition. I see now competitors as like, how can we work together?
Mm.
Like, what can I do? Because I may get a job. I don't know. Let's just say, for argument's sake, Target over here floods. Do I have the manpower? Not really, you know. So what can I do um, to quote unquote have this competitor all of a sudden be my ally, my friend? Um, and again, just the maturity part of it, and being able to say, look, your guy, your company, I got mine, but hey, let's work together in this situation, and we both win. And that's something that is a huge thing for me, because once well, the maturity thing, um, being able to look at things as what's the positive, what's the good part of this, and how can we work together to make it work, and that's what's able to open me up to being more out there, being the friendly person where before, I mean, if everything is just like, you got your company, I got mine, you know um what do I don't need to smile at you and say good morning. Like, what's so good about it, even though you're like, no, I mean, I'm not trying to be that way, but it's just, you mature, and you change into different things. It's like, okay, well, now how are we gonna to make the positive, or get the positive out of this whole situation? And it goes back to, again, being in a situation where you come into people's worst moments, and if you come in with a crappy attitude, and these people feed off that vibe, and you have no choice, you're going to sink or swim.
Hmm.
So I think Dryden's kept his doors open, in part by making those kind of changes and those core values of being accountable, and just don't be a shitty person.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dwayne. What I've come to know about you, and what I really appreciate, no, what I want people to know about you from my perspective, you are who you are. And I really honor that, because you are a genuinely happy person. You are a family man. And I think that you're out there to really do the right thing for people, and you're just relying that business is going to come because you do the right thing. That accountability piece, I think, is really important, right? And I know for me in my business, I label it as sincerity. I want people to know that I actually care,
Yeah.
and I think for a lot of people in the business world, they could look at that as a huge flaw, and my response to that is good because that's just who I am. And if people want to try and take advantage of it, I'm sure they can try. Fortunately, I'm old enough now to figure out how to manage that, but I'm not going to let it change me. I'm going to be that sincere person and I'm going to try and do what's right for people. And I think that that's where that respect part for you comes in because I think you really see people as human beings, man. And I really appreciate that. When you level the accountability with respect, what I appreciate about you, Duane, is that people are going to be working with someone who has a sincere heart to do what's right for them. And they're going to be accountable to it. And I know it's a self accountability because I know that if something's not working out on a job for you or you're having a hard time being able to make someone whole in their situation, you're the kind of person who's not going to sleep at night.
Rough. It's rough. Sometimes
Yeah.
when things are out of your control, at least in the moment, it's not
Yeah.
easy because then you're like, okay, as a it's almost like you got to remind yourself sometimes because you do. You're like, you know what? I should really mind my P's and Q's and stay out of it, because things would go so much smoother for me if I stay out of it.
Hmm.
Because then I don't have to worry about, oh man, if now we're bringing in a public adjuster, who's going to, first of all, take a cut, where it's like, okay, but I'm willing to lose a little bit to gain a lot more in return, which is having things done correctly and the client being made whole in the right way.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's one of those things. It's not hard for me to just do my part, shut up, and just let things be.
And
Is
that's
it
where
in
that
my nature?
collaboration piece comes
Absolutely not.
in. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I appreciate that collaboration idea that you have simply because I think a lot of us look at business, it's dog eat dog, right? And then you know how to integrate other people when, because you have that hierarchy of who you're doing right for and that your client is always king of that hill, then it opens you up to being more collaborative. So what I would say for everyone who's listening is like, if you're looking for someone that you are going to partner with, especially in a moment where it's probably not going to be the best scenario for you. You're coming home from vacation and your whole house is flooded. Doesn't sound like a great day. Or you come home and you could see that the upstairs bath is literally leaking into your kitchen. Not an amazing day. In those moments, do you want to work with someone who actually cares about people genuinely? You don't have to ask them to, it's just who they show up as, that's going to be accountable to getting the job done and is willing to collaborate and hell even lose money because it's what's best for you. If that's what you're looking for in your restoration company, then that's why I recommend Duane Lee and Dry Zone Restoration. It's who you show up as, Duane. And that's why I appreciate you, man.
Thank you again. Like I said, I cannot say enough uh, for again the people that I have met in the last few months, especially in the group that we're in and things of that nature, and just again the trust that you have in me, um, going as far as being able to help out someone that you personally referred to me that I am doing business with actively. Um, and being able to take that same mentality, those same core values, because I see those core values because and when I say that, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that you and I have had conversations, and it just seems that more times than not, every conversation uh, in the middle somewhere, we talk about core values.
Hmm.
And like I said, I mean, I can't say enough of the way that you handle your stuff as well. Being able to again take the time, the effort, and the energy to again being able to and the want to be able to spotlight someone that at the end of the day you're like, look, I mean, you're not getting paid for it. You know what I mean? So to show my appreciation, like I can't say thank you enough. I really can't. And so for and for that is one of the reasons why I'm able to say I go a little bit above and beyond for people that are referred to me from said group and group of people. um because again, you may have friends that are in property management, or whatever the case is, that say, look, or someone who may be a renter, and who's there to advocate for, to be an advocate for them
Yep.
you know
And that's how you do thank me, Duane. How you thank me is you take even extra care of my people, everyone who's watching on here. And again, I don't hope that people have to meet you next week because that probably means that there's a problem in their house. But I will say, if any of you experience something that's not going right with your house and you're really that worried that it's some big major problem, I mean, if you're aware, you're aware. If it's water in the kitchen 2 inches high, yeah, you need to call Duane. But if there's like maybe some, coloration happening in the wall and you're unsure if it's mold, one of the other things I really appreciate about Duane is he's willing to just pick up the phone and talk to you and answer you and just let you know if it's something you should be concerned about. So my recommendation is this: if there's ever a concern in your home, if there's any kind of smoke, fire, water, mold, anything like that, my strong recommendation is give Duane a call. And if you don't remember or see how to get a hold of him, it's real simple. Just call me. I've got you covered. I have him on my phone, speed dial. It's super easy. So let's just make sure that if you're in that moment of need, that you're talking to the right people, and the right person is Mr. Duane Lee. So, Duane, thank you, man. Thank you for just being a good human being, buddy. I appreciate that about you. At the end of the day, that's one of like the standards for me. If I can't trust you just as a human being to be respectful of others, to care about people, and to do what's right, you don't belong in my referral network, if you will. But you absolutely passed that test with flying colors. And then you're really darn good at what you do, which helps, man. So that's that combination that I look for my clients. And again, that's why you're my trusted guy, Duane.
you so much. Like I said, I appreciate it. I can't I can't thank enough how blessed I am to have you and everybody else, in my life and in my business that keeps us going.
Yep. So, and just know anywhere where you see this video, Dwayne's contact information is going to be below as well as mine. But again, if you need anything when it comes to, your home being restored or any property that you have and you're worried that there's some significant damage and you need the right person in that moment to take care of you, call me or Dwayne and I'm going to get you right over to him. Dwayne, thank you, my friend. Appreciate this conversation and really glad to have you as someone I can trust to send my clients to, especially in their time of need. Appreciate you.